It's a violation against the laws of nature. It's a violation against humanity. And it's a violation against the child's identity. However, it can be argued that genetically modified children would be healthier and thus will have lower healthcare costs. Think for a moment, wouldn't that seem appealing for us? However, it's a possibility, but it looks like a Pandora's box case, where the dominant and darker possibilities and outcomes are ignored. I mean, we could do with some improvement. Look at me, for example. The hacking of the human genetic code may eradicate cancer, remove colour blindness, end disease. I would surely support it, as I've lost myself many relatives due to the vicious disease, cancer. Nevertheless, this would make us more vulnerable, as it would decrease the genetic and the gene pool of humanity, and would eventually lead to the extinction of Homo sapiens. But on a lesser level, it would cause aggressiveness and narcissism. July 25th, 1978. Anyone familiar with that date? Louis Brown, the first IVF baby, was born. And it gave a procedure that allowed 5 million children to be born, giving many parents the opportunity to have children they once had hoped for. If we look closer into this, it seems like it's a domino effect. But if the designer baby production rose exponentially, it would be disastrous for humanity, and it would eventually result in a dystopia. Undoubtedly, we can all conclude that we should opt to help humanity, not manipulate it. So, will this future projection be a trend which will permeate society? And will you be a victim of it? Any questions?
You said you referred to genetic modification as a Pandora's box case. Could you please elaborate on that?
So a Pandora's box case is, it's like a case where, when begun, it will generate many problems. You see, in the case of meddling with genetics, we can see that there are many complications as we don't understand the behavior of the DNA completely. So, as I've mentioned, it would cause aggressiveness and narcissism. But the thing is, it would give us a lot of improvement. It may seem really appealing that it would remove disease. So, would we like to gamble with that, or would we not? But who are we to decide what a child comes out as? You know, should we edit his features or should we not? But isn't that nature that does it? We will always have complications like that. So we should look into the advantages and ignore the disadvantages that we have now.
Yes, Bilal?
So you've mentioned that this future projection will be a trend. What is your opinion about it?
Well, the thing is, as I said, in the case of IVF embryos, once begun, it rose exponentially. I mean, from 1 child to 5 million. But if we replicated that and applied the same concept or the same outcome to designer babies, wouldn't this be a trend where millionaires perhaps spend all of their money on children to improve their intelligence, their fitness, and how strong they are? Wouldn't this be absurd? And if everyone was smart, wouldn't this make us all the same? And would there be intelligence, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're talking about perhaps also a very superficial consensus of society about looking good. I mean, we could have designer babies, for appearance, couldn't we?
Yeah.
It could end up being extremely shallow and could be the new thing to divide us all.
Yeah, exactly.
And bring incredible problems. You talked about the disadvantages and advantages. Do you think that genetic modification is similar to nuclear energy? You know, the concept of the nuclear fusion, which was both beneficial but then ended up a disaster for human beings.
Yeah, so it's beneficial because it produced nuclear energy, which is clean, and we could exploit it to get rid of fossil fuels and eventually depend on it. But however, it also produced nuclear weapons, such as in the case of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, World War II. it killed millions of people. But you could argue that aren't like nuclear weapons a deterrent that can be used to avoid war by some countries,
Yeah.
as there is a threat of mass destruction. So there are advantages and disadvantages.
Mm.
But you could see that Einstein was devastated by the outcome of his discoveries.
Yes. The thing is, we need to put you need to put measures in place, don't you?
Yeah.
And how will society be trusted to do that? I mean, this could be a technology that falls into the hands of unscrupulous people.
True,
And you can't always predict natural forces. For example, the nuclear meltdown of
Fukushima.
Fukushima. Now, what created that? It was a tsunami, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we can never predict what's going to happen and what's going to take
Exactly.
a technology.
It's meddling with genetics. We don't
Right.
understand it fully, you see. And if we meddle with it, we don't understand the outcome either. So I think we shouldn't plunge ourselves into trouble. You see, in China, 2015, there was a Chinese scientist who produced 2 IVF babies, embryos. They were HIV resistant. So that was an advantage. But wouldn't this also lead to exploitation, as he said, to appearance, which would eventually lead to shallowness of people and narcissism?
Prejudice and
Yes,
racism, and maybe
discrimination.
another sort of like definition.